So good afternoon, learners. Subuji. Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes.
Okay. So again, I am very happy to tell you that this BECC-131, that is your economics paper 1 class for your BAG program. We have got the approval for next 6 classes on your economics chapters. And some of you might be new to this class or meet. So again, I do repeat the same thing, that after the start of everyday class, you can write your name and enrollment number in your chat box, which will be saved in the regional directorate office Bhubaneswar, for your in support of your attendance against this class. So please every day do that. Don't forget to do that. And while our resource person will be continuing his or her class, kindly mute your microphone. And during the questionnaire session, you can unmute your microphone and ask questions or your doubts one by one. Otherwise, there will be a lot of noise and you will not be in a position to listen clearly to the counselor's voice, or even counselor may not listen your voice correctly. So once again, welcome you all to this new session of economics. So I am sure you will enjoy all these 6 classes, and please every day come prepared to this class, because these are counseling class, unlike our regular classes taken in colleges. These are counseling classes or doubt clearing classes, and due to this COVID pandemic situation, we are bound to conduct such classes by online process. Otherwise, it would have been done in the inside a classroom, that is face-to-face mode or physical mode. So main idea of such counseling class is that the students or the learners will come prepared. They will come with their doubts while reading through self-study mode or distance learning. These are all distance learning mode, open and distance learning mode, or ODL jota kuauchi, open and distance learning mode, where you have to read from your study materials, note down your doubts, and in the counseling class you can discuss about your doubts with your counselor.
सर मो पाखे गोटे बही आसी जो हमर आज स्टडी मटेरियल रो बही जो BECC 181
हाँ,
तो सेटा कि 131 जोटा आज रो अच्छी कोर्सेस
BECC
सेटा सरी जाईची किंतु आजिकार जो अच्छी BECC ना कोन जो कहिले सेटा मोरा आसीची BECC 181
181 मत BECC 182 थिबो
ना
ना 181 अछि
181 आसी BECC 181
सेटा तो मोर सेकंड पेपर रे पढा जिवो
सर से बहिटा आसी तो मु केमिति कोन करबी एबे
सेटा इंग्लिश बहिटा कम्युनिकेटिव इंग्लिश
नहीं सर एबिलिटी एनहांसमेंट कंपलसरी कोर्सेस AECC ऑन एनवायरमेंटल स्टडीज लिखाई छी
हाँ बीजीए भी नहीं हमें से क्लास एठी करिबुनी काउंसलिंग क्लास हमर एठी बिकॉज़ वी आर लैकिंग द रिसोर्स पर्सन्स हमें एनवायरमेंट सेटा एनवायरमेंटल साइंस रो क्लास टा
हाँ सर से बोईटा मो
हाँ
पाखु
भी
आसी जाय स्टडी
VAE
मटेरियल
181
इकोनॉमिक्स रो बही आसीनी मो पाखु स्टडी मटेरियल्स रे
वही आसिन जदि रिपीटेडली आई हैव बीन टेलिंग वी आर सेंडिंग द मैसेजेस तमे तो नेट खोलो ना यू गो टू ई ज्ञान कोर्स website you can download the material in PDF format down directly. Your books will come. It will take some time because the condition of Delhi is very bad. They are slowly just started. They have started sending these books. So definitely you will be getting the books. But right now, for your purpose, you can simply download in PDF format and go through them. Lot of students are doing that.
यस सर
ई ज्ञान कोर्स कंप्यूटर रे मारदेले से तुमको नहीं जीवो जो सब्जेक्ट चाहिए सही सही कोर्स तुम डाउनलोड करि परिबो पीडीएफ फॉर्मेट रे सब अपलोड हेछि हला
यस सर ओके सर
okay then will not spend much of your time because time is very valuable so I will request and hand over this platform to our economics madam Mrs. Gitanjali Mistry madam and I am sure you will enlighten you all with her vast knowledge. Okay madam, please.
Good afternoon, all of you.
गुड आफ्टरनून मैडम
Today we start economics for adjust what is economics. Economics may be defined various economists, but among them, Robinson, who is defined economics, which is adopted by society, and his definition is scarcity, mainly based on the scarcity. And all economic activities are depend on this thing, scarcity. Then scarcity is the concept which the basic of economics life. Economic scarcity depends on scarce resources and unlimited wants. We know that unlimited wants means wants are never ended. If one wants fulfilled, then another wants it arises. And it is always keeping increasing. So that and limit resources is limited. That means they and this scarce resources are alternative uses, and these alternative uses cannot be fulfilled all the wants. So that the economics is the base of the scarcity. So, because of the scarce in resources and alternative uses, the economy faces some central problems. First, what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. What to produce means there is many types of consumers, then the decisions regarding their wants to be satisfied and the goods and services to be produced are interrelated and are taken in a coordinated manner. And this production is which class based. This is very important. And how to produce. We know that there are different types of inputs available, resources, productive resources are available, and these productive resources produce various goods and services. The exact proportion of factor inputs used in the production of goods and needs to be decided. And there is how to produce means there is two techniques to production. One is labor intensive technique, another is capital intensive techniques. Then which technique is best for the production? It is very important for the economy and it is a problem for economy. Then for whom to produce? The society comprises a large number of individuals and households. Then which all the output of consumption and goods services is ultimately meant for their use. So that for whom this production is continued, that is very important. So these three things is the central problems of the economy. Then there is then we know that our income is, aggregate income is divided into two sides. That is, saving is source of finance for investment in an economy. One is consumption, expenditure, another is saving. And both is, when it is sum of these two, consumption and saving, then we got the income, national income. Then this saving is source of finance for investment in an economy. Investment adds to the capital stock of economy. Economy increased by this investment, and investment depends on the saving. Then there is two. We know that in society two goods are present. That is public goods and private goods. Private goods, we know all of you about this. There are certain goods which availability can be restricted to selected individuals only. Who pay, they can consume these private goods. And also public goods. Public goods are not restrictable to anybody. When it is not possible to restrict the availability of a product to selected individuals, that is called public goods. And public goods is for all of us. There is no thing to pay. All of can consumers these public goods, and among them one thing is arise in economy, that is merit good. What is merit good? Merit good is a thing that can be, that consumption is considered highly desirable for the members of the society are termed as merit good. Then which good is highly desirable for the numbers of the society, and like education, health, these two goods is for the merit good, and it is benefits for the society as whole as the rises the level of its efficiency and well-being. So that the merit good is called example of these two example of the merit good is consumption and health. Like this, these are some economical word which meaning is important for us. Then for that, and how to produce and for whom to produce. We know that there is much more combinations are presented. Then among these combinations, one combination, alternate combination of various goods and services are present. Among them, one is selected. One combination is selected, which give maximum production, and this can be illustrated a simple graph, that is production possibility curve. Production possibility curve gives up different combinations of inputs. Among these inputs, we can select one combination which give us maximum, give the entrepreneur maximum production. From one example, we can understand this thing. Suppose there is the country to choose between alternate combination only two goods, LED and computer monitor. And all productive research of the country are taken as given, and so is the state of technology. No changes are made. All things are constant. and the productive resources are fully utilized, fully employed. There is no wastage. The productive resources are suitable for the production of both goods L and M, L LED, M and monitor. And no factor of production is considered the specific in the production of one good alone. Cannot be produced only one good. At the time, there is in OX we define computer monitor, and on Y axis we explain LED. If you produce total, if you combine only one, then LED, that is maximum, then we can lose computer monitor to production. In case of the production, only LED can be production. Then we cannot say that computer monitor is also essential for the country. So that one combination is selected where these inputs are fully utilized, and then produce both the goods, LED and also computer monitor. If in combination A, it is choose combination A, then maximum LED production, then sacrifice in case of computer monitor. If it is produced, it is choose combination B, then LED is less production and more computer monitor. It's like that. No one can, both of these combinations, which combination is good, it is decided by the producer, and which is essential for the country, it is also depend on this production possibility. It is also solve the problem by the production possibility curve. Then the production possibility curve always sloping down or left to the right, and it is concave to the origin. Concave means then in case of the, it is like that. If production possibility curve is straight line, then what happens? That means no, there is MRT is constant. MRT, marginal rate of transaction, and this PP curve, production possibility curve, otherwise also known as transaction curve, transformation curve. And when this one is straight line, like that, that means there is MRT is constant. But we know that MRT is always increasing level. And sacrifice less, get more. That is in case of this transformation curve, or otherwise production possibility curve. But in case of this production possibility curve, they both are the sacrifice and get is constant, so that the combination is not give this combination is not a realistic assumption. All resources are not equally efficient in production of all goods. So that in case of the, we know that production possibility curve is always concave to the origin. PP curve also somewhere it is shift to rightward or leftward. When the production is increased, that is shift to rightward, and production decrease, that is shift to the leftward. Then these scarcity resources cause the different problems in the economy. Among these central problems, one is most important problem is allocation of resources. These resources, how you allocate, then you get maximum satisfaction in the economy of a country. We know that there is different types of economy, mixed economy, capitalist economy, socialist economy. Among them, in and resources, our economy is mixed economy, and then in which some decisions are left to the market forces, while others are taken under direct government regulation or even ownership. In mixed economy, some things are handed over the government and some are private owned persons among them. So that a owner, this discussion in is here in mixed economy, election of resources is a must a problem, central problem for the economy. And equilibrium. In equilibrium, we know that a word equilibrium. That means it is an important tool for every field, that is in demand case, supply, demand or price determination, in consumer sector, producer sector, all these sector, equilibrium is an important thing. A consumer is in equilibrium when his expenditure on different goods and services yield maximum satisfaction. When consumer get maximum satisfaction, that means he is equilibrium. And when business get maximization in profits, that means he is equilibrium. Like that, a resource ownership also can get maximum profits or maximize in resources owners, maximum paying employments, that time that he is equilibrium. And equilibrium in two forms, one is partial, one is general. Besides this, some of our a problem create each economics a positive science or normative science. Positive means positive economics is concerned with only formulating economic laws and describing reality. It only formulating laws and describing reality. They do not pass any judgment as to whether the findings of economy analysis are desirable or need a modification. They cannot do that. In case of normative, economists realize the fact that an economy is never perfect. In case of normative science, that means economists realize that the economy is never perfect. Economy is not a perfect. To outcome, its working can always be improved upon. Always they try to improve their working in this normative science. So that in both cases, we cannot decide each economy is positive or normative science. Then one in economics also two types of economics always feel, that is microeconomics, macroeconomics. What is micro? Micro means small. We know that micro is coming from a Greek word, that is micro. It is means small. It is always described as small unit, a consumer, a businessman, a farmer, a producer, only one small area. But in case of macroeconomics, it is a large, very vast discussion. And macroeconomics deals with the large aggregate demand, aggregate supply, aggregate employment, about all these things, national income. These things are covered by the macroeconomists. It is not taken individual terms. Individual terms are going from the microeconomics. Microeconomics deals with only a small area, small persons, a consumer, a producer, a farmer. But in case of the macroeconomics, it is different. Then stocks and flows. These also two economic words that is very important for further studies. A stock is a variable, is the one which can be measured only with a reference to a point of time. It is measured in a point of time, whereas flows describe a period of time and not a point of time. Like supply of money and magnitude of wealth. These are the stock variable. Whereas the income, sales, savings, expenditure, purchases, extra are the flow variables. And statics and dynamic. Statics means constant. Static, according to dynamic model, a static model means all things are static in nature. In dynamic means a dynamic model would be one where updated. The variables are dated. Always it is changed. The equilibrium point also change. The supply, demand, all things are changeable. A dynamic model, according to this definition, would be one where the variables must be dated and a time lag must exist in their relationship. So that when statics and dynamics are two different things, and static is constant in nature, dynamic is updated and changed thing. Unit question unit करे नहीं दूँ last. These are some problems in economics, and economics can be, now you define some words about economics. These words are very important for economic further economic studies. Now we come to a general thing, demand. Demand, what is demand? We know that demand means want something, but in economics, not it means want something. And we know that a satisfaction of human needs is the basic end and goal of all production activity in an economy. Demand theory provides a framework within which these decisions have to be made. Then the demand means desire of a thing and ability to pay it. And it has a one satisfaction power also. When we call it demand, demand is a desire, want, and ability to pay for it, and that good has a satisfying power. That is called demand. So that there are three important points about the quantity demand. First, which is desire to purchase by the consumers. Second, always considered as a flow variable which is measurable over a period of time. Thirdly, that it has a that commodity has an economic meaning only at a given price. When we pay for it, that has a economic meaning for the given by the price. And demand is affected or determined by some factors. This determines some demand for consumer. How can we determine demand for a consumer? First, price of the commodity, prices of other related goods, and income of the consumer and taste of the consumer. These things depend to determine of demand. Price of the commodity. So when you call demand function refers to price of the commodity, price of the commodity of other goods, price of the substitute commodity, and price of the complement goods, and income of the consumer and taste of the consumer. All these factors influencing demand of a consumer. So and demand mainly related with price of the commodity. Mainly it is related, but among these factors, it is very important. Two factors that is affect the demand: price of the commodity and size of the consumer's income. Both two factors affected the demand. Price of the commodity. If price is more, then demand is less. It is very simple thing. and it is very much influence the demand of a consumer. Normally, the higher price of the commodity means, and so that the lower of the quantity demanded of that commodity. And second is size of the consumer's income. In income, if more, a consumer has more income, then the demand is more. If income is less, then demand is also less. But in normal commodity, the consumer's income is, when consumer's income increase, that means the inferior goods demand is less, but the other goods demand, other different types of goods demand is increased. So the consumer's income is also very much affect the demand of a consumers. And one thing is more also taste of a consumer. Consumer's taste also influence the demand. If a consumer has developed a taste for a particular commodity, will demand more of that commodity. If a consumer has changed his taste against a particular commodity, less it will be demanded. That means taste is also important for the consumer's demand. Then determinants of demand in market. Market demand is affected by some factors like size of the population, income distribution. If all other factors remaining unchanged, all these factors is unchanged, constants, then when the population is increased, then more of a commodity will be demanded. Size of the population can be dependent so many other factors also. Income distribution. It is a little difficult concept to explain. Unequal distribution also cause the demand, also affect the demand. When less unequal is distribution of income, more will be demand for the commodities which is purchased by relatively poorer people. Such commodities may be food items like wheat and rice, and special or etc. So the unequal distribution of income also influence the demand in a market. So the demand influenced by some of these factors. Besides this, when we, in case of there are different types of goods are also available in inferior good, complementary goods, substitute goods. These goods also affect the demand. Then what is law of demand? Law of generally we know that when price is more, then demand is less. In higher price, demand is automatically low, decrease. It is also it is called a law of demand. Alfred Marshall, he was give this law of demand. He told that there is inverse relation between demand and price. When price falls, demand increases. Demand falls, price falls, demand increases, and when price rises, demand decreases. It can be described through a demand shifted. It is as usual in normal general life, we feel it that when price of anything's price is increased, the demand is decreases. It can be, this schedule can be shown in a diagram. When you draw a diagram, we find that the demand curve is sloping downward to the right. That means in OY axis we say price, and in OX axis we explain it a quantity demanded. Then we show that when price is more, the good is demand less, and when you think that prices it decreases, then also demand quantity demanded increases. Then at that time, when we draw these points, we get a curve that is demand curve. In that case, we find that demand curve is sloping downward to the right. Then why do demand curve slope downwards to the right? There are many regions. Mostly there are 3 regions to why the demand curve is sloping downward. First is substitution effect. Due to substitution effect means substitution effect results from a change in the relative price of a commodity. There is 2 goods. If one good's price is increasing, that particular good demand is not changed, but its relative goods when demand is changed, that is called a substitution effect. In case of the substitute good, two substitute good is, for example, tea and coffee. If prices of tea is increased, then the consumers are give up prefer to tea, then they shift to the coffee. But there is no change in coffee. Besides this, coffee's demand is increasing. That is called a substitution effect. And it also, this substitution effect also help, also the reason for the demand curve to slow downward to the right. Then income effect. Income, when consumers' income increases, then at the time it shift to the superior goods. Before that they consume inferior goods, but when its consumers' income increases, it can to shift to the superior goods. That means the demand for inferior goods decreases. That is called income effect. Income effect is either positive or negative. In inferior goods, that is negative effect, and superior good, it gives the positive income effect. Then price effect. Price effect is not other, that is addition of the summation of the substitution effect and income effect. When substitution effect and income effect both combine, then they get what is called price effect, which relates the quantity demanded of a commodity to the price of the commodity. Both substitution and income effects operate simultaneously with the change in the price of the commodity. And of the commodity, substitution effect and income effect, and taken together give price effect. Substitution effect always operates in a manner such that as price falls, quantity demanded of this commodity increases. And given substitution effect, if income effect is negative, the law of demand will apply provided the substitution effect outweighs, and the price effect is the summation of both income effect and substitution effect. Then another word is coming, that is given good. What is given good? Given good is inferior good. After the name of Robert Giffen, it is known as Giffen good. In case of Giffen good, the fall in price of a commodity not lead to an increase in the quantity demanded of the commodity. When price of inferior goods falls, then the demand is not increases. That is called a given good. In case of the inferior goods, the prices is not affect the demand. Demand is not affected by this prices of inferior goods. Then another point is arise. What is quantity? What is change in demand? What is change in quantity demanded? Change in quantity demanded. That means change in quantity demanded means it is expansion and contraction in demand. It is shift on that particular demand curve to A to B or B to C or D any point. That means the only price of that particular good can affect this demand. All things are remain, all factors are remain. Only when price can change, either increase or decrease. That time the demand is decrease or increase. That is called a quantity demanded, or otherwise change in quantity demanded is known as expansion and contraction in demand. And in that case, the consumer can shift its consumption from a particular demand curve to A to from C or A to from B, any point. But demand shift on that particular demand curve. And change in demand. Change in demand means price is constant, demand constant, but the other factors are when changed, then the demand also change. At the time, the demand is shift to another curve, either left curve or demand or right curve. It is either positive or increase, or positive or negative. Change in demand in two forms. One is increase in demand, or positive, or decrease in demand, or negative demand. When at a given price higher quantity is demanded, that is increase in demand, or at a higher price the same quantity is demanded, that is increase in demand, and at a given price lower quantity is demanded, that is decrease in demand. At a lower price the same quantity is demanded, that is decrease in demand. And when the change in demand is shown in a diagram, the curve is shifted. In case of the increased demand, it is shifted to the right, and in case of decreased demand, it shifts to the left. And increase in quantity demanded or shift in the demand curve to the right can be because of increasing money income of the consumer. And rightward shift in the demand curve can also take place because of increase in the price of a substitute goods. When either income increase or prices of substitute goods decrease, at that time increased demand is shown. And in the decreased demand also case, in the negative case it is shown as its decreased demand. Then concept elasticity of demand. What is elasticity of demand? We know that demand and price have inverse relationship. They are indirectly related with each other. When price is increased, demand falls, and when price is falls, demand is increased. Like that, elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of dependent variable to a given change in an independent variable. We know that dependent variable is demand and independent variable price of a commodity. If price of a commodity change, then what much the demand changed, that is the elasticity of demand. Or in case of when price of a commodity change, then what responsiveness of in the case demand, that is elasticity of demand. And elasticity measures the sensitivity of one variable to another variable. Dependent variable is to given percentage or proportion change in the independent variable can be measured through the elasticity of supply, elasticity of demand. And elasticity of demand is three types. One is price elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand, and cross elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand. As the name of the price elasticity of demand is a major responsive of quantity demanded of a commodity to change in the price of the commodity. When price of a commodity change, then what proportion the quantity is demanded is changed, that can be measured through the price elasticity of demand. The result is this can be measured as the proportional change in the quantity demanded of a commodity divided by the proportional change in the price of a commodity. That means elasticity of demand equal to proportional change in quantity demanded of a commodity by proportional change in price of the commodity. When we mathematically, if you calculate it, EP, elasticity, price elasticity of demand equal to delta Q by Q divided by delta P by P. Delta Q means change in quantity demanded by change in quantity demanded. Delta P change in quantity, change in price of the commodity by price of the original price of the commodity. In case of when we find that in elasticity, price elasticity of demand, we find that delta Q by delta P into P by Q. Delta P means delta Q change in quantity demanded by change in price into original price by original quantity. And price elasticity is the value of price elasticity may be vary from 0 to infinity. It can be the price elasticity is measured through 0 to 1. When price elasticity is 0, that means quantity demanded does not change at all with change in price of the commodity. When we know that when price elasticity is 0, that means the price cannot affect in quantity demanded. If price changes, the quantity demanded does not change. It is always constant. When price elasticity is greater than 0 or less than 1, that means when the percentage change in quantity demanded is less than the percentage change in price. That price is more change, but that response, the quantity demanded change is less.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes?
ma'am, can you explain the second point with the help of a diagram? With the help of a graph?
Which one?
Second point, when EP is greater than 0 but less than 1.
Okay. Here. Original price is P, then that time demand is Q. If price increases, besides this quantity demand is constant. It can have no effect on the quantity demand. If price decreases, then also with the quantity demand is constant. It is remain constant. There is no change. It is called as zero elasticity. Elasticity is 0 in that case. It is happen in inferior goods. Then
Ma'am, this graph is for EP is equal to 0. Price elasticity is equal to 0.
here, this one is EP equal to 0. That means price changes does not affect the quantity demanded. There is no change in the quantity demanded. Okay. Then EP, elasticity of demand is greater than 0 or less than 1. That means when the percentage change in quantity demanded is less than the percentage change in price. Price is less change, but quantity demanded change more. It is most about the comfortable, this was happen in the comfortable goods case. It is otherwise known as the less elasticity of demand. Then EP equal to 1. EP elasticity of demand equal to 1. That means when the price changes is equal to the demand quantity demanded. Then when the percentage change in quantity demanded equals to the percentage change in price, that is called, otherwise called as unit elasticity. Then EP more than 1, it is more elastic. This type of elasticity of demand is obtained when the percentage change in quantity demand is more than the percentage change in the price. Price is less change, but the quantity demanded is more, change more.
Ma'am,
This
can you explain this one with the help of a diagram? When price elasticity is more than 1.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. It will be a kind of flattened curve.
But yes,
It
this
will be a
one
kind of flattened curve.
factor. Oh,
Okay.
it is price change is less, the quantity demanded change more. It is
Yes.
in case of the luxurious goods.
Luxurious goods. Okay, ma'am.
Luxurious goods. And it is called as more elastic demand. Then infinite elasticity. When infinite elasticity means there the price changes has a little price change can affect much more the quantity demanded. That is infinite elasticity. In that case, infinite elasticity, the diagram is this one. It is horizontal in nature. Then income elasticity of demand. Now, in case of price elasticity, there are 5 types of price elasticity, you know that. And in price elasticity, price changes responsive, a proportion change is how to, the proportion change in quantity demanded is described. And it is always quantity, we know that quantity demanded is more, sorry, price is more affected, demand is more affected by the price of the particular good. So, in case of the income elasticity of demand, here all other things remaining constant, but the income of the consumers if change, then how the quantity demanded affected, that is income elasticity of demand tells. Income elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity to change in income of the consumer. It can be measured as the proportional change in quantity demanded of a commodity divided by the proportional change in income of the consumer. Income elasticity of demand is mainly depend on the income of the consumer. It is measured or mathematically described by proportional change in quantity demanded by proportional change in income, or delta Q by delta Y into Y by Q. Delta Q is change in quantity demanded, delta Y is change in income into original income by original quantity. And here also the income elasticity of demand is also three types. One is positive, one is negative, and equal to 0. In case of when it is positive or +1, that means in normal goods it is positive. It is when it is negative, that means it is inferior good, and it is 0, that means it is between, it is necessary goods. It is in case of the income elasticity, it's 0. Then what is cross elasticity of demand? We know that demand is also affected by the other relative goods, when other relative goods prices changes. Price cross elasticity of demand refers to percentage change in the quantity demanded of one good resulting from some percentage change in the price of another goods. A cross elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of quantity demanded of the given commodity to a change in the price of a related good. It is either the good is complementary or substitutional. But when the prices is changed in both related goods, then their cross elasticity of demand is shown. A cross elasticity of demand is depend on the proportionality measured by the proportional change in quantity demanded of the commodity X by proportional change in the price of a commodity Y. And mathematically, it is formula, in mathematical formula is the cross elasticity of demand equal to delta Qx by delta Py into Py by delta Qx. Delta Qx is the price change in the X good, is quantity change in the X good by price change of the Y good into price of the Y good, original price of Y good by original quantity of the X good. If cross elasticity is also lies between -1, either -1 or positive or negative. If cross elasticity coefficient between two commodities is positive, we know that the two commodities are substitutes. And if cross elasticity coefficient between two commodities is negative, then these two commodities are complementary goods. Then how to measure price elasticity of demand? To measure the price elasticity of demand, there is mostly three important methods. First, point method, total expenditure method, and geometric method. Point method. Point method also otherwise known as the percentage method. It is employed only when the changes in price and quantity demand are very small. Point method is, can only apply on this case when it is small change. And total expenditure method. When there is large change in quantity demanded and price elasticity of demand is measured through this total expenditure method. and geometric method, which is otherwise known as arc method. In this method, the elasticity of demand is different at different points on a given demand curve and is measured as through a mathematical formula or a straight line curve. Like geometric method, the price elasticity of demand is measured then lower segment of the demand curve by upper segment of the demand curve. Then price, like the factors affected the demand, like that some determinants also affect the price elasticity of demand. First, nature of the commodity. Some factors also affect the price elasticity of demand. Among them, nature of the commodity, number of substitutes, number of uses of commodity, price level of a commodity. Nature of the commodity. We know that the commodities are different types: necessities, comforts, luxurious. If the commodity is necessity, price elasticity of demand will be less. In case of comforts, the price elasticity is more elastic. In case of luxurious, price elasticity is less price elasticity. They are purchased by people who have higher income. The demand does not change much with change in price. Then number of substitutes. The nature of commodity, the commodities nature also affect the price elasticity of demand. Then number of substitutes. If commodities with few or poor substitutes will always tend to have low price elasticity of demand. Commodities with many substitutes then will have relatively high price elasticity of demand. Number of consumers of a commodity. The greater number of consumers of a commodity, the greater its price elasticity of demand. And we'll have and price level of a commodity. The level of price will also have an most affected determinant of price elasticity of demand. A commodity which has a very low price will have less price elasticity of demand. A commodity which has very high price will also tend to have a less price elasticity of demand. By persons who have very high incomes. There also be many other factors which can also be incorporated in the list. Like time period, availability of substitutes, luxurious comforts, large proportion of expenditure, perishable goods, substitute goods, multi-purpose goods, low income, normal price range, normality. These are some factors also which affect the elasticity of demand. Then importance of price elasticity of demand. Why it is important for the economy to calculate the price elasticity of demand? First, price fixation by a monopolistic. Monopolistic means one seller. When there is one seller but large maximum buyers. So the monopolist can charge different prices in the market. The monopolist is always interested in charging a higher prices from the consumer. If he comes to know that the price elasticity of demand of a commodity is low, he would fix up a higher price for the commodity. He would not be able to charge a very high price for a commodity which price elasticity of demand is relatively higher. That means if If the monopolist know that the price elasticity of demand of a commodity is low, he would fix up a higher price, and he would not able to charge a very high price for a commodity which price elasticity of demand is higher. The price, the fixation of price by a monopolist is also depend on the price elasticity of demand. Price support program of the government. Normally the price elasticity of demand of agricultural commodities relatively less. This implies that a given increase in supply because of better monsoon will lead to relatively more falling price. When the quantity is increased because of the better monsoon, then the price is low. This would reduce the income of the farmer. So that price the government, in order to protect the interest of the farmers, can announce what is called price support program due to the price elasticity of demand. This would lead to a situation where the quantity supply will be more than the quantity demanded of a commodity at the price announced by the government. Government can also decide the prices or price support program of the for the farmer by the help of the price elasticity of demand. The government then incidence of indirect taxes. A government imposes indirect taxes on the commodities. Whenever an indirect tax is imposed, the burden of this tax is borne partly by the consumer and partly by the producer himself. Both combinedly, consumer and producer can bear the tax, indirect tax. The share of the burden of an indirect tax borne by the consumer and the producer depends on the elasticity of demand. Suppose a situation where the demand curve is perfectly inelastic. Irrespective of the shape of the supply curve, the whole burden of the indirect tax will be paid by the consumer. On the other hand, if the demand curve is perfectly elastic, the whole burden of the indirect tax will go to the producer or the supplier. The situation between two will be decided by the ratio of price elasticity of supply to price elasticity of demand. So, price elasticity is helpful for the incidence of indirect taxes, for the monopolist to fixation of prices, for the government to price support program for the farmers. Question. Now we finished. I finished the demands and what is demand, determinants of demand, then what is elasticity of demand and measurement of the price elasticity of demand, then determinants of price elasticity of demand or factors affecting price elasticity of demand, and also the importance of price elasticity of demand. If there is any doubt, to ask. If anybody's question arise, any question, any doubt? Hmm.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hmm.
Can you please explain again price support program of the government?
What? What is?
Importance of price elasticity of demand. The second point, price support program of the government. Page number 44.
Price support program of the government.
Yes.
The price elasticity of demand of agriculture commodities is relatively less. Why? Because that a given increase in supply, sometimes when the monsoon is better, then the supply also increased of the agricultural production. This should reduce the income of the farmer. That means prices fall down. The government, in order to protect the interest of the farmers, can announce a program, that is price support program, such that the price of the commodity will not be allowed to be fall below a particular level. A level is fixed by the government. If there is their agricultural supply, if agricultural supply increased, then all, then overall so the price is not fall from this level, particular level. And obviously, this would lead to a situation where the quantity supplied will be more than the quantity demanded of a commodity at the price announced by the government. The, the price, which price announced by the government, the farmer can sell its product that price. Whether there is quantity supplied is increased, besides quantity supplied increased. Therefore, the government has to prepare to procure the excess supply of the commodity from the farmers. And it can be for if for some reasons the quantity supplied of a commodity falls, which has low price elasticity of demand, the price will tend to be higher and the consumer will be forced to pay relatively higher price. In order to protect the interest of the consumer, the government can announce what is called ceiling price. In case of the consumer, it is called ceiling price. And in case of the farmer, it is called price support program. In ceiling price, the government fixed the price of the agriculture productions. If there is shortage in the, besides shortage in the supply, and it government can protect the consumer, farmer also, and also consumer. And when the government has excess demand and shortage in supply of the commodity, will release stocks from the godams or will have to import the commodity from other countries. So the elasticity of demand is very affected for the government also.
Excuse me. Excuse me, ma'am. In one of the point, like the third point, incidence of indirect taxes. In one of the line, it's written when the demand curve is perfectly inelastic. Ma'am, what is it referring to perfectly inelastic? Like, is it when EP is more than one or less than one?
In which case, more than or less than?
Like perfectly inelastic. The term is used as perfectly inelastic.
Perfectly inelastic.
Yes. So what does this point means? Perfectly inelastic. Like here, price elasticity is more than one or less than one, or is equal to zero or infinity. So
It is
what is the
equal
term?
to perfect, in case of the perfectly inelastic, the price changes cannot affect the quantity demanded. If prices rise or fall, the quantity demanded does not change. That is
So equation is
perfectly
zero.
inelastic. In that case, that price elasticity is zero.
Zero. Price elasticity is zero.
Zero.
Okay. And perfectly inelastic?
That is perfectly elastic. That case,
Yes.
price elasticity is infinite.
Price elasticity is infinite. Ma'am, we also use the term relatively inelastic and relatively elastic.
Relatively inelastic. In real life, there is nothing in perfectly elastic or perfectly inelastic. So that it is only we call it a, but in realistic, perfectly elastic is not present in economy, or elastic or inelastic is present in economy. So that we can't talk that, we can't say that price elasticity is zero or price elasticity is infinite. So it is relatively. It can be measured as relatively.
So in that case, price elasticity can be more than one or less than one.
Less than.
Relatively elastic?
In case of the relative elastic,
Yes, ma'am.
it is more than one, and relatively less elastic, it is less than one. When elasticity is one, that is unit elastic. In
Yes,
case of
ma'am.
the more elastic, it is
That
one,
is called relatively
relatively elastic. Elastic.
elastic. Okay. And less than one is relatively inelastic.
Inelastic.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am, one more doubt.
Yes.
There is one one of the question, demand function q
Hmm.
equals to 90 minus 3p. How are we going to solve this thing?
Once again,
Q equals to 90 minus 3p.
99 minus
90
19 minus
3p 35, page number 35. Demand function. There's a question given, at what price no one will be willing to buy any commodity.
demand function. Q equal
Yes,
to
ma'am.
90 minus 3p.
Yes, how are we going to solve this question, and how are we going to answer the questions given?
At what price no one? It is a mathematical problem. Okay. In mathematics, it can be described very clearly. So in next class, I will tell you. Is it clear?
Ma'am, this kind of question they asked in assignment. We can hope this kind of questions in terminals also. So I want to know like how they are solving and how we are answering.
This is a mathematical, it can be solved through a mathematical problem. Mathematical formula is demanded for this problem to solve it.
Yes, ma'am, but it is asked in economics only.
I know that, but here that formula is not present.
Ma'am, there was question in assignment also, this kind of question. We can expect in long question also it was there.
Next class. In next class, I solve it properly.
Okay, ma'am. Tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Huh? Close call. Now it is complete. Next class we meet again.